Hi folks, the alternate string pull-off is often something that befuddles people the first time they encounter it. You might hear it, just simply hear it in a recording for the first time and wonder how they're getting that note, or you might see somebody do it and you wonder what are they doing there, or oftentimes people see it in tablature form and they might see it spelled out as ASPO, ASPO as it's commonly pronounced or called, and go, what the heck is that? And I get asked this question an awful lot. What is this ASPO thing that I see in tablature? Or what is that you're doing there? So I thought I'd put together my own little short video on the how and why of alternate string pull-offs. And of course, other people have done this as well. And you may have well looked at those videos already. Alternate string pull-offs are probably most common in clawhammer playing, maybe secondarily in index lead two-finger style. I don't hear them as much in three-finger playing or thumb lead two-finger playing, although you can use them, and actually, when I think of it, I have used them in two-finger and three-finger playing. But you can get the same notes in two-finger thumb lead as well as three-finger by doing other things that are just common in those playing styles. But in clawhammer and index lead two-finger, playing the notes that we get from alternate string pull-offs are very difficult to execute in any other manner. Hence, they're most common in clawhammer and secondarily in index lead two-finger. Okay, let's take a look. And rather than me explaining to you what this is, let's do an exercise where we just kind of work our way into an alternate string pull-off. My banjo's in the standard G tuning, so get yourself there. And then what we're going to do is start with a 4-note pattern just using double thumbing. And the strings we're going to play open are going to be 3, 5, 1, 5. So finger, thumb, 3, 5, 1, 5. Very simple pattern. Let's do that. Pretty simple, kind of monotonous, but there it is. We're playing melody notes on the open third string and open first string, and then we're just droning on the fifth string on the offbeats. Of course, if we left that first fifth string drone note out, we'd be left with a bum diddy, right? But let's not jump into that. Let's keep with our simple double thumbing pattern here. And let's say, what if I wanted to drone on the first string rather than the fifth string? So rather than on that first fifth string drone note, hitting that, what if I want to play the open first string instead? So the pattern then would become 3, 1, 1, 5. Okay, put that on paper. Makes sense, looks doable. But then when you start thinking about it, what the heck am I going to do in order to play that open first string? It's an offbeat note, so that would suggest I should use my thumb. I should drop thumb to the first string. Well, number one, most people don't drop thumb to the first string. Some do, I suppose, but that's a very difficult maneuver, and it involves making your thumb cross over your index finger or your middle finger if you play with that. Whatever finger you use, you have to do a crossover and then land on the first string. That is a very, very tricky and difficult maneuver to master. Typically, drop thumb is when we strike a string and then we drop to a lower pitch string. Going to a higher pitch string than the finger strike, that's not so easy with drop thumb. So, is there a better way to approach this? Indeed, that's where the alternate string pull-off comes in. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to strike that third string, and then rather than swinging our thumb way over to the first string to play that note, we're simply going to pluck the first string with our fretting finger. I'm going to use my middle finger at the second fret in this example. I'm just going to pluck that note to sound the open first string, and then we're going to play 1, 5, and with the ditty that we started with. So it's going to be 3, pluck 1, 1, 5, 3, pluck 1, 1, 5. You ready? Let's give that a go. Oops. Now, I tried to keep it slow, and maybe you stumbled through that a little bit. I had one little goof in there. But you can practice this on your own. Just use this 3-1-1-5 pattern to get used to this alternate string pull-off. That's actually probably one of the most common 4-note patterns in the alternate string pull-off world there, is to do that 3-1-1-5. Very common in a lot of traditional Southern Appalachian banjo playing. And it's a very distinctive sound. So work on that over and over, 3-1-1-5. On that first one, use a pluck on the first string. And like I said, you could do it at the 2nd fret, you could do it at the 3rd fret, you could even do it at the 5th fret. Play around with that to see how it works. The main thing is you want to pluck on that string, on that offbeat note after the first finger strike. And that, my friends, is an alternate string pull-off. It's a pull-off like a regular pull-off. We strike and then we pull on the offbeat. But the difference is, there's two things. We're pulling off on a completely different string than the one we just struck, and it's going to be a higher pitched string than the one we struck. So if we struck the 3rd string or 4th string or 2nd string with our finger on the beat, the offbeat would then be on a higher pitched string, and many times the 1st string. If we were playing a finger strike and then hitting a lower string, we simply can do that with a drop thumb maneuver. Now, there's nothing against doing an alternate string pull-off to a lower string. It's just that we have other techniques in order to get to that offbeat note on a lower pitched string. But you certainly could do it. And like I said, in thumb lead 2-finger style and 3-finger style, we can get this same pattern with just that plain style. It's because we're using a thumb lead, we can get to these note patterns in a different manner than using an alternate string pull-offs, but you certainly can use it in those plain styles. Let's look at an example of where we might put an alternate string pull-off into a tune, and I'm going to use the example of the B part of Shorten and Bread. It's 4 measures long, it's fairly simple, and I'm going to play a very bare bones version, just a bum ditty pattern, with a drop thumb at the end. That's the only embellishment I'm going to put in it. And what you're going to hear is at least 3 times we're going to play a bum ditty that's 3-1-5, 3-1-5, 3-1-5. That bum ditty pattern that works perfectly for inserting an alternate string pull-off. So here's a version of Shorten and Bread as I play it. Pretty simple. Now, let's put alternate string pull-offs on the open 1st string after each one of those bum ditties. That was a 3-1-5 bum ditty. So we're going to have 3 alternate string pull-offs in here. This will be tricky at first because your hands are kind of doing, it's like rubbing your head and chewing gum at the same time. Your hands are kind of going in opposite motion. That kind of is discombobulating at first. But I think if you do it slow and you consciously know what you're doing, you'll get this pretty quickly. So here we go. So rather than just double thumbing our way through that or just doing a bum ditty all the way through that, we're putting an offbeat drone note on that 1st string that creates both rhythm and more droniness to the whole thing and just kind of notches things up a level. Let me play that a little more up-tempo so you hear what it sounds like when it's more at a normal speed. And I think you'll pick up on the rhythm and the drone that using the 1st string with an alternate string pull-off does. So I didn't really put any other embellishments in there. I could throw pull-offs in there as well, other things, but just throwing that alternate string pull-off really kind of picks up the tune a good bit. adds a lot of drive, a lot of rhythm, a lot of excitement, and it works on short and bread in any number of other tunes, especially whenever you have that 3-1-5 bum ditty. That's a great opportunity to try out an alternate string pull-off. Okay, so again, traditionally alternate string pull-offs, where we strike a string and then we pluck or pull on some other higher pitched string, are used to create rhythm and drone on some string other than the fifth string. But you can use this melodically as well. You can use it to insert melody notes on offbeats, and a lot of contemporary players use it that way. I do on occasion as well. And let's go back to the example of short and bread and show where that works. So what I'm going to do is, rather than pluck on the first string for that alternate string pull-off note, I'm going to pluck on the second string. It's going to add in more of a melody note to the thing. In fact, it's going to create a bit of an arpeggio, because the note pattern is going to be 3, 2, 1, and then 5. And it's going to sound a little more melodic rather than rhythmic. And to do this, I'm going to use my ring finger at the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to play that note pattern. So again, I'll do it slowly here and listen to the difference that this creates. Here's with the first string, alternate string pull-off. Back to the second string. Subtle, but when you listen carefully, one is more rhythmic, one is more melodic, because it creates that little arpeggiated run in there. And by the way, that run, I'm playing 3, 2, 1, 5. If I was playing that 3-finger style, I could use a simple forward roll to do that. And I threw that in there just to demonstrate how in a 3-finger style, you can get the same note patterns by just using normal roll patterns. Clawhammer, we don't have those roll patterns, nor in index lead 2-fingers, so that's why we use these alternate string pull-offs a lot. So there it is. That's what an alternate string pull-off is. Traditionally, it's used to create rhythm and drone notes on some string other than the 5th string, and it's an offbeat note that follows a finger strike, just like any other embellishment, just like a pull or a hammer or slide. And it's almost always on a higher pitched string. We can also use alternate string pull-offs to create melody notes on offbeats, not just rhythm notes. So it's kind of got a dual purpose here, and you'll hear that in different people's playing. Anyway, hopefully this clarifies what an alternate string pull-off or an ASPO is, and how you can use it in your playing. Go through these exercises, especially that 3-1-1-5 pattern, get that smoothed out, and then look for places that you can insert that in your playing. All right, that's it for today. Have fun and keep on picking.